Hey, Melissa,
Yes.
I have a question. And the question
Mhm.
for you is, may I do a walkthrough of chart harmony, color, and things we can do with an eye toward how do I even know which planet is asking for my planetary remediation or attention or focus? This stems from our previous conversation about Uranus showing up in your literal house.
Yeah, I'd love it.
Yeah. Like would
Let's do
do the
it.
traditionals and
Yeah.
okay. Yay. I'm gonna share my
Good. I think that it helps the outers then make sense.
hopefully because that's what they're based on.
You know?
Yeah.
That's right.
So if you missed the episode in which we talked about the outers being higher octaves of inners, we'll make sure to link to that in the description so that you can find your way back there. But what it stemmed from in that conversation was that we can sometimes know because of things that are happening in our chart or things that we know are coming up, like certain midlife transits, or an aspect is going to hit transiting planet coming by natal planet and activating something. We can know we have a need for some attention at a certain part in our chart. For instance,
Right.
anyone with a stellium in Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, I left out Aries, anybody with a stellium in Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, a couple of years ago was ending a forever fucking long relationship with Pluto hitting on a hard angle everything in their lives. And what I mean by that is a stellium is a group of planets or placements in a certain sign in a certain house, because we're going to do whole sign houses so that it's just every time it's if it's in that sign, it's in that house. It just keeps it simpler for this conversation, but also traditional astrology. A stellium is a collection of energy all in the same sign. And if the cardinal signs, Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, had in your chart a stellium, or in your case, two, one for Cancer and one for Libra, you were never getting a break while Pluto was in Capricorn of either an opposition to Cancer or a square to Libra for 15 years. And
That's a long
you
time.
may want to get some relief from that comes from ways other than Pluto moving into Aquarius, which finally happened after
Right.
the long foreverness of being in Capricorn and all that impacted generationally, but also to individuals. Because even though, yes, big generational, big societal stories about what Pluto and Capricorn did, for sure. But always we're looking at how is the current astrology, the woo weather of the
Right.
mundane, the transits, impacting my personal chart. And when can I get out ahead of that? By knowing I'm either moving into a certain kind of perfection year, or my progress chart is going to put my rising into a different sign, or I am maybe using astrocartography and I'm moving to a different line in my natal chart and I need to create some support around that. Or if your chart ruler is particularly weak and you need to give it some love so it can
Right.
do what it's meant to do in your natal chart. All of these are good reasons to look into planetary remediation as an option.
Mhm.
So the reason I don't call it planetary remediation, but instead call it chart harmony, is because to me, planetary remediation sounds like you failed that class and now you have to take it again.
You're in remedial
You are in
planet.
remedial planet. Who needs that? Because my first house Uranus goes, well, then fuck that. I'm not going to go to school at all.
Right. Nope.
That's correct. Oh, that story I told about the bad thing I did in high school makes so much sense with my Uranus in Libra in the first house, doesn't it?
No, it does.
You're not going to do it. You're just okay. You're not going to support me. You're not going to be the Saturn role model that I need you to be. School principal,
Right, right.
director. That you're not okay. Then I'll show you.
Yeah, sure.
So,
I'll do what you say
so
in this
I figured,
way.
right, right. I will take you literally.
Mhm.
Let's go through, like, could you give me some issues that people might bump into? And it can be people like you and me, or it can be people that we know or clients or whatever. Like, what are
Mhm.
some common things that people bump into situationally rather than transit wise? Like, because we can
Okay.
all say, oh, well, I'm coming up on my Uranus opposition and I know I want to do a thing about that. But let's look at it for, if you don't even know the astro of it. If you're like, I'm lucky I know my big three,
Mhm.
and a lot of people don't know their big three. Like, if you just know my life feels a certain kind of way, what
Mhm.
would we look to for the chart harmony that we might choose to do to make that feel a little better?
Mhm. I'm thinking of some specifics, thinking of other people. Well, I mean, the things I think that come to my attention are people who are having issues in their relationships. You
Relationships are
know,
big.
that one's up there, like whether it's a bumpy season or the end of a relationship or difficulty finding a new relationship.
For sure.
Um, I mean, those are the things that client wise, I mean, people talk about that
Yes.
certainly. And yeah.
I had a thing, an event that I did a couple weeks ago that put me out in the world with not show business people. And I'm so often almost entirely surrounded by showbiz people, or
Mhm.
people who would identify as creatives or creative entrepreneurs or fellow
Mhm.
astrologers, that it was a new situation for me to be around just normal people with
Right.
normal jobs. And I was doing mini readings, and I could not believe how prevalent the when do I meet my person question was.
Yep.
And am I going to get pregnant was another one. Like,
Mhm.
by and large, relationship issues
Yeah.
and family creating issues
Yeah.
were overwhelmingly more
Top.
popular than I have ever seen in my own business. And I went, oh, well, that shows you your audience is different than the audience at this event.
Yes.
But that's a good one. Let's do that, because it's very common that we have relationship issues, because everything that we do in life is in relationship to some other something.
Something. Mhm.
And so when it is other people, what I have here is Chart Harmony 101. I have both a webinar and a blog based version of this, that takes us through a few of, like, some of the big questions that tend to be top of mind
Mhm.
for issues like that. Because one of the ways that I like to approach chart harmony is in just what we talked about. What is the situation that's going on? And then figure out what planet needs to be looked at. But then also, for people who know astrology, there's, you want to work on your chart ruler, your sun's ruler, your moon's ruler, your least advantaged planet, your one that's least represented in rulership, the one that is about to be in a transit that's going to be more challenging, or the year's perfected ruler, as we've talked about, in a planet you just want to get to know better. Also, great candidate. But the questions that I like to ask all stem they all stem from conversations that are typical and that take us to where that planet is. And so this
Right.
is us, if we want to work from not really knowing what the planet is, but we know there's an issue.
Mhm.
And what I like in looking at these kinds of prompts of, it's safe to be seen, it's safe to grow, it's safe to receive, home is safe but nowhere else is, to burn bright is to destroy something we love, we already have enough, we're being greedy, or to change is to dot dot dot. One of those seven hits you in the gut
Yeah.
more than something else. And it's fine to just trust that and click on it and don't worry about trying to get it right. That is the
Mhm.
planet that is asking you for more energy slash attention. But so we're going to take a look at the relationship one of
Yeah.
Venus,
Mhm.
based off what we just talked about as the starting point. But we can start anywhere from that blog post, and
Mhm.
this will take us here to Venus, because Venus's big question is, am I safe to receive? And the mantra of, it's safe to receive love, money, enoughness. It's safe to allow my person to come into me. It's safe to allow a happy, healthy relationship. It's safe to detox unhealthy relationship patterns that have
Right.
existed for me or from passed down from my childhood and what I was taught in my home growing up. A lot of attachment style conversations center around Venus. The moon is
Yeah.
definitely also a player, but
Yeah.
we'll stick with Venus because we're talking about more romantic relationship than attachment style, which is more
Mhm.
parent to child bond. And then, of course, affects all of our other relationships.
Yes.
But specifically in issues of Venus, which is where we look at for love, 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 money, enoughness. Those are the big three. We go, well, Venus wants it to be easy. Venus wants it to feel as though we are magnetic, and it is a tractor beam of whatever it is that we deserve, big asterisk there,
Yeah.
deserve being pulled in to us. And to resolve that asterisk, Venus does not need us to do anything more than exist in order to
Right.
deserve something.
Mhm. You shouldn't have to work, work, work super hard for it, and it's not okay to accept crumbs.
All of that, right? Those are other planets showing up trying to do Venus's work in your life and in your chart.
Right.
And I see that a lot. I see a lot that people will love from their Saturn instead of their Venus. And I'm like, if you would just love from your Venus, it's going to get a whole lot easier.
Yeah.
Saturn's got a lot of rules. Saturn's got a lot of shoulds. Saturn's got a lot of it has to hurt in order to be worth it. And Venus doesn't buy into any of that shit.
No. No.
So, how do we turn up the Venus if we believe that would be helpful? First and foremost, set an altar. And that goes with any of these. Setting
Mhm.
up an altar for the planet that you want to bring more energy to is the
Mhm.
easiest, simplest, most straightforward thing you can do. And an altar can be represented by a single crystal, a post it note on which you write the glyph of the planet or a few words that you want to energize and put in a special place. An altar just means a designated place for the thing that you want to happen.
Right.
That's it. It doesn't have to be witchy. It doesn't have to have a lot of money spent around it. Venus
Mm.
likes pretty things though. So
Mhm.
maybe some flowers.
Yeah.
Yes, pretty crystals are great. I have specific ones that go best with Venus in this list, but doing things in a Venus way
Mhm.
is really key. And that means you're not just washing your face because it's time to wash your face. You are luxuriating in washing your face, in loving on your skin,
Mm.
in taking makeup off or putting on moisturizer from a way of drink it in. Doesn't this feel so good? You're not
Right.
getting a massage because you have your shoulders out and you need some therapy. You're going to get a massage because having oil rubbed all over your
Mhm.
body while you may zone out and fall asleep in the massage table is what Venus wants. And if you're like, that's great, where's
Mhm.
my budget for that nice massage? It can be you put lotion on your feet, on
That's
your
right.
hands, on your fingernails, on your neck. And you don't do it because, oh, I'm hurting. You do it because, oh,
Right.
my skin drinks this in and it feels so good.
Sure. I mean, I think that a lot of people feel that that is decadent or that they're undeserving. It is the love and enoughness. And like when we talk about Venus, it's like the pictures of Aphrodite, just the food and the beauty and the dahlias or the roses or whatever, and the soft, the silk or the velvet or
Yeah.
the beautiful music, that I mean, just everything just being luscious. And
That's
it doesn't have to be like planet killing, spend $50,000 on something crazy. I mean, it can be, look at these, look, oh, I like planets flowers, or, like bring those in, or, snip them if somebody else gives you permission, or, buy some
yes.
grapes, buy something that tastes good. And I think that like the way that I've seen it is, or because of how I visualize things, if I see the representation of like the archetype, or the myth of the planet,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that helps me harness that. And I can set something up that that pays respect to.
That's
And
right.
if you're living in a place and you're walking by every day and seeing these beautiful Venusian
Mm,
types of representations, it's like, that's just gorgeous. Ingesting that, like, I, not in a haughty way, but I deserve that. Like, I want and I need and I expect to be
yes.
treated with respect and
Yes.
dot, dot,
And
dot.
the magnetic draw of everything to me that I desire.
Mhm.
And where we culturally bump up against this is, especially if we were not born part of dominant culture, it is especially challenging to see examples of it's safe to believe we deserve beauty and the finer things and all that Venus represents.
Right.
Venus takes time. The phrase that I use for Venus is never late, always worth the wait. I'm Venus ruled and I'm late to everything all the time. And I never feel like I have to apologize to it or about it to anyone about it because I mean, obviously, if I'm being disrespectful in my tardiness, I will. But it is always just I got snagged in something that was appreciating beauty, and then I'm going to bring that into the meeting and talk about that beautiful thing that I was just experiencing, and everybody benefits from that conversation. You know,
Mhm.
it's Venus is so all about nature as a perfect example of it is safe to expect to be magnetic for everything that you deserve. There are
Mhm.
examples of it all over nature, and it is sometimes challenging in our society to believe that we deserve it. We feel low enoughness. We've been taught, we've been told that we cannot feel ourselves, we cannot love how we look in an outfit or how it feels to even be in our own skin. We're told we're wrong in many ways. And part of recovering our relationship with Venus starts from choosing to wear green on Venus Day, which is Friday, choosing to use planetary hours and use Venus's hour to do things like I still write checks. I still write checks for certain bills that I pay because I write with like really gorgeous handwriting and I use my favorite pen and I love the way it drags across the paper. And I see that as almost like doing calligraphy on a wedding invitation. And I'm like writing a thank you note to Visa for having invested in me by buying that thing on that credit card, whatever number of years ago that I'm still paying for. And I see paying off a loan as,
Wow.
which is a very Venus activity, paying for something that love, money, enoughness, as I'm saying thank you. Like every time I pay a student loan payment, as much as I want to be mad about it, I
Right.
instead say thank you, government system that existed in the 80s and early 90s to allow my brain to be developed to this degree, pun entirely intended, because I could get multiple degrees off money that I did not make. Thank you
Mhm.
for investing in this brilliant brain, and I will pay
Mhm.
you this
Yep.
little amount here with a very Venus energy because Venus is an exchange of value for value. And
Yeah.
it's just when we have wonky values, and I say we as a society, not as individuals, that
Right.
doing some Venus remediation might feel a little more challenging.
Mhm.
But especially if it feels challenging, you can then go, okay, I have issues with relationships. Maybe it's not me. It's just Venus needs a little more
Right.
of my energy and attention.
And the way I have begun entering into a relationship with that Venus part of me is, I think as, growing up like we have, it's I need to do the this, this, and this to take care of myself in order for other people to see me as enough.
Yeah,
But the Venus part of it is I'm going to do this, 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 and this because I already am enough.
that part.
It's like the internal locus of control versus external. This is for me. I'm going to wear this, not because I want everyone to think I'm hot,
Nope,
because I know I am. And I
that's
want to wear this and I want to be, it's an outward expression of who you are inside. So,
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Exactly. And that's why enoughness is such an inside job.
Hmm.
And I remember learning from the Hendricks Institute, which is Katie Hendricks and Dr. Gay Hendricks. Gay is the author of The Big Leap. Most people know him for that. But I did some studies up in Berkeley with Keith, and we went to a couples weekend thing to study there, in addition to what I had done previously online and also after that online. There was a moment when Katie specifically said, we knew we were enough as babies. We knew because the only fears we have when we were born are don't let me starve and don't drop me. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's all that we come pre-wired with. Everything else is learned as a fear or as a anything else. But the feelings of being who we are and expressing our enoughness, not a word she used, but my word for that, were very much celebrated until one specific moment in our early childhood where our enoughness and the expression of it intersected with a caregiver's convenience. And when we inconvenienced a caregiver with our enoughness, we were shut down, smacked, yelled at, put in our place, whatever that representation was for you. That moment gets imprinted, and that's when our relationship with Venus starts to unwind and need support.
Right.
And then we may go decades before we ever come back around to supporting our Venus, because we're so sure I'm too much. It's not safe to be who I am. I can't express my full enoughness because I have this memory of where my being too loud in public got me smacked.
Right.
Or whatever it is.
And even if you can't remember, your body remembers.
Your cells do. Yeah.
I think you're going to talk about
I don't think we're
the
going to on this episode.
But no, I want to say this though. It was super enlightening when I first saw. Can you pull that back up? Would you
Yes.
pull up the
The article
yeah,
or the
the
list of all of them?
yes, right here.
Okay.
Yeah, is it safe to be seen? Is it safe to grow? Is it safe to receive? All of those.
Right.
And I don't remember which course or exactly when I first saw this, but the challenge was to look at like which one resonated, just kind of which one resonated most. And it surprised me. And I was like, oh my gosh. And that is where I started doing some of the work. Like, what does this mean about my relationship with, I believe,
Which one was it that really
Saturn?
pinged you?
The safe to be seen.
It's safe to be seen. Woo, honey. That's your son.
I know. Yeah. Which surprised me.
Yeah, because
So
your
I was
son
like,
ruled by, or for your sun sign anyway. Yeah.
so what I needed to do was look at all of the different challenges to that part, and then Saturn as well. I
And
know.
then
So I needed to
Saturn
look
is,
at
we already have enough. We're being greedy.
that,
Yeah.
that for sure. So those were the two I needed to look at, and it really helped me to just walk along this with you. And then,
What kinds of things did you do?
well, here I am. I mean, I didn't just jump right into this. I mean, it was a lot.
And sorry, I totally cut you off. I was just so excited about
No.
finding that
Well,
relationship between the two, especially.
what I did was have worked on renegotiating my relationship with Saturn, and and being able to identify, instead of like the negative messaging,
Mhm.
what is like a healthy Saturn say? And so looking at where could boundaries benefit me, instead of like I think what I was doing was like really angry with and pushing back against the masculine messaging.
Well, and this is a conversation
Sun
that
and Saturn.
we are definitely having about, is Saturn actually not at all masculine?
Right.
And that co-opting is why we're so mad.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
And as far as
Yeah.
the sun masculinity messaging, yeah, Yeah.
Some of the unhealthy things, looking at the flip side, what can be the flip side of, like, what do I need to hear from? And so it's like a renegotiating that relationship with the boundaries. And then how could it be safe for me to be seen? Well, first off, it was being selective about
Yeah.
who I wanted to be seen with or who I would allow to see me, and then practicing some of that. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot more than that. I'm
But
obviously.
and the being selective about the sun related issue of it's safe to be seen means you are applying Daddy Saturn, being selective,
That's right.
to the sun chart harmony that you're doing. It's you will do sun things, but to make
Yeah,
them feel safe, you will do them within a Saturn container.
that's right. Yes, because it doesn't feel like it's just blasting out all over the place. I definitely began leaning into more sun kind of colors and using crystals and just even different scents and smells. And then I went and visited the pyramids of the sun, which is a pretty grand way to renegotiate your relationship with
That's
the
all.
sun. But,
And
just
while you've been
all that.
talking, I reached over here and pulled out my sun oil because as soon as you introduced that as one that gave you a ding as you
Uh,
first saw those prompts, I was invited to support my son more
mhm,
and perhaps yours. Uh,
mhm.
and as the sun is getting brighter right behind you, and it's just so
Oh,
beautiful, I'm like, oh, none of that is lost on me. The Venus ruled moon baby that I am loving the beauty that you are basked in
mhm.
right now.
Aw.
And I love the beauty you bring to my life.
Oh, thank you. And same. And I love how we chart harmony one another's
We
charts.
do. We do.
You know?
We definitely do. And that's by the way, for people who wonder why do I not have the ability to break this pattern of this same type of jackass coming into my life again and again and again and again. And it's because your chart will help you bring in the energies that need supporting and not always in the most positive ways. But
Yeah.
we can flip that. We
Mhm,
can do enough of the support on our own to
mhm.
not bring in the asshat version of the person and instead to bring in the kind of person that celebrates the
Yes,
growth that we've created in our lives.
absolutely. Also, with Venus, I'm pitching this, the 44 days with Venus. Oh my
Come
God.
on. So Venus was retrograde in Leo a few years back,
Uh,
and my chart ruler Venus is in Leo, not retrograde, but in Leo, 29 degrees Leo. All of this very important on Regulus, on Black Moon Lilith. Like she's a big deal. Venus in my chart, very big deal. She is also afflicted. As I grew up, and my mom learned astrology, and I learned it alongside her. I would come home from school crying, bullies, drama, drama, and mom would say, you'd expect the usual, "Oh, honey, they're just jealous or they're there. They'll grow out of it. You'll get through this, whatever." Hers was always, "Oh, honey, your Venus is afflicted in Leo." That was my there talk from mom. But what it allowed me to do was go, my Venus is afflicted in Leo. My Venus is not in good shape. And
right.
in Leo and in the 11th house, that Leo Venus is definitely going to get pounded on in public. There's going to be experiences in that very critical degree 29 of Leo/11th house. Attention, attention, attention. It is going to happen like that. And so I
Mhm,
started way before I knew there was a terminology for it, doing
right.
things to support that sweet little Venus. And
Mhm,
when Venus was going to be retrograde in Leo that summer of 2023, I said,
mhm.
I'm going to create a 44 days with Venus because that's how many days Venus was going to retrograde that year. And each day was going to be a love potion, spell, ritual, something love letter to Venus.
Mhm.
Little doable,
Yeah.
easy. And you don't even have to do all 44 before you start recognizing a huge shift in your
Right.
relationship with Venus.
Being it, moving it, like
Yeah.
embodying.
Yeah. And it's only $44, which is like a buck a tool. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Outrageously cool. But yes, thank you for mentioning that. It is
Yeah.
that is one of my favorite things I've ever built. And I built it as we were going. Like the first group that came in with
Yeah.
it. And of course it's available on demand anytime now. You don't, it's just, when do you need to do some Venus love? There it is.
Right.
But we actually did those 44 days while Venus was retrograde in Leo. Each day was just, what is another tribute to this? And it was so beautiful to get to watch so many people awakening to a healthier relationship with such a powerful planet. They're all powerful. And the most powerful one is often something in your chart that needs a little more help, needs a little more attention. And that's why it is perhaps acting out or under functioning.
Right.
We can have Mars in a bad place in our charts and it will create lack of motivation. We can have Jupiter in a place where he gets too big, and there is such a thing as too big a Jupiter. That's why we have Daddy Saturn and boundaries, to keep Jupiter from,
Or the whole universe would explode.
Jupiter has so much power, so much gravitational pull, that all of the universe would go into Jupiter's big old mouth, if not for Daddy Saturn going, stop. But getting those relationships in harmony is really a lovely thing. It's a balance.
Love it. I love it because it's a one more way of looking at these pain points, strengths, challenges that we all have. Everybody shows up with it.
Right.
And this to me was very helpful. I mean, also it was just accurate. Like looking at the different personalities, I'm like, oh my God, my Mars is an exact square to Saturn. Push, pull, go, I'm like that.
Life, you're having that relationship negotiated.
It was really, really, really helpful to look at it differently.
That gives you the opportunity to then say, okay, Mars, let me give you a little support. Saturn, let me give you a little support. Both of you are right. This isn't a who's right, who's wrong.
Right.
You're both right. And you both have different functions.
Yes.
In my chart and in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so here's the challenge that I'll give to everyone. As you are getting curious about what planet or luminary needs more support in your chart, and you're not quite sure, you don't have the fluency of that yet, use those prompts. It's safe to be seen. It's safe to grow. It's safe to receive. Home is safe, but nowhere else is. To burn bright is to destroy something we love. We already have enough. We're being greedy. And to change is ... question mark, with some impending fear or doom out there on the other side of how that sentence ends, or that question ends. Those 7 prompts, check in and see which one is asking you to be curious about it, or is giving you a like, you'll really know when it's something that tightens like that. And then just start with wearing a certain color, or observing a certain kind of flower, or eating a certain kind of food. I have lists on every one of these pages. I have even little graphics that you might want to download and put someplace that you can, eventually there'll be oracle cards and you'll be able to actually have them and deal them out and see what it is that you would like to do. But just start by, when things happen in your life, beginning to get curious about what planet is getting my attention right there.
Right. It's about being intentional.
Yeah.
Paying attention and doing some things to care for yourself. And it's anyway, it's very helpful.
Thank you for not having shifted your camera at all.
I'm not even looking at myself. I have no idea what I look like.
I'm so glad you didn't shift, because the sun coming in and saying, it'll be like this. It's not subtle. It'll be like this. I am here. It is safe to be seen. Like you can tell the sun is like, thank you for doing your chart harmony homework, Melissa.
And to feel and to hear from people who are able to, who are learned about you know, astrology say you can do what you want, but I'm looking at your chart and you're showing up.
Yeah.
Like,
I am never going to tell someone to go against how they feel or what they want to do, but I am going to tell them, here's what your chart says about that. And you can push against your chart your entire life.
right.
I don't enjoy doing that myself.
Hmm.
And I would imagine you experimenting with not pushing against your chart might feel better.
Hmm.
It's worth an experiment.
Maybe we can talk more about this at some time.
I can't wait.
Some other planets.
Yes, we will definitely talk through
Otherwise,
other
yeah.
planets. Tell us below in the comments what planet or what pain point you are reckoning with and would like us to dive into next. Oh, and I should mention while I'm talking about our presence at YouTube, thank you for your feedback on what we should call our podcast, because soon we will rebrand. And right now we are gathering options and opinions about what this should be called. So thank you.
I'm excited.
I'm so excited too. We're not making any changes while we're in eclipse season. Nope.
No.
Just gathering information.
Nope.
So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Melissa. I love you.
I love you too. Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye.